All right, finna go ahead and get it started. What's good,
Yeah.
everybody? Welcome back to the Life of Champ podcast. For today's episode 195, we're going to be discussing 15 life-changing questions featuring the boy Anthony. For the people that do not know you, Anthony, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
What's up, y'all? It's a man of many names, Chocolate Thunder, Hershey Drizzle, the Cocoa, no, the Count Chocula, the Cocoa Pebble Rebel, but you could just call me Anthony though, Been
Oh, yeah.
friends with the boy here for 13 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man.
We
Yes,
still
sir.
getting it rocking.
Yes, sir. You already know what time it is, man. So, like I said, the topic for today's episode. A few things I want to say before we go ahead and give you the game. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and on Rumble at Life of a Champ podcast for every single platform. And also make sure you tap in with the YouTube Shorts as well as the YouTube clips. We've been posting a lot more frequently. Anthony's been helping me edit some of those, so shout out to Anthony. And like I said, the quality's about to go up, fellas. So tap in with those for sure. And also, if there's a specific podcast that you want me to make clips for, let me know in the comments as well. Also, tap in with the weekly live streams that I'll be doing as well. If there's any videos that you want me to go ahead and react to, or any type of creators that you want me to go ahead and react to, let me know for sure, and I'll go ahead and do that. But getting into it, like I said, 15 life-changing questions. And also, if you're in the comments, whether you're rewatching this or watching this live, if there is a question that you believe that is life-changing that the people need to hear, make sure you go ahead and feel free to leave it in the comments because we're trying to help the people out here, man. Come on now.
Yes, sir.
So getting into it, first one. This is one that I have kind of given a lot more thought to since I started doing a podcast, and it goes hand in hand with my fascination of just articulation of ideas, thoughts, and words in general. And um, speech is obviously something that I needed to really focus in on. This is something that I've improved upon over the last 3 years, and something that I stress upon all the people that I love because it is going to be something that is absolutely essential. You're doing it on a daily basis. So the question that I have for you is this: how could you get better at introducing ideas from your mind to other people? Right? I believe that a lot of people they have very very good ideas. Even the average person has probably some good ideas, but your ability to convey this to others is going to say literally everything about you, right? You could have the most intelligent mind ever, but if you're not able to articulate it and you're not very good at introducing those certain ideas that are within your mind to other people, you're going to seem less intelligent even if you're the most intelligent. Anthony, what do you think about that?
I think that's actually very accurate. I've done this multiple times myself. Actually, been doing this actually since like high school, middle school, whatever. Where I'll have an idea, and before I can articulate it to the classroom or a teacher, right? I'll fumble it, so I sound like an idiot. I sound like the class clown. But I'm like, hold up, just hear me out. You don't get that chance though. No, everyone's already laughing now. Which me personally, I never mind, but in a serious setting like a board meeting or a meeting with someone who can really change your life and you fumble like that, that could really screw you over in the long run.
For sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of how do I want to say this? Scratch that. I just think it's very very interesting because like I mentioned earlier, right? If you're just not able to convey that to the people, right?
Hmm.
Like I said, Anthony's a smart guy. Anthony's a smart guy, and like I said, you watching this, you could potentially be a smart person as well. But if you're not able to let other people know what's going on within your mind, it really just doesn't even matter at all. And everybody has room for improvement within this, and this is why the question was formulated the way it was. How can you get better, right? Even if you are good, how could you get better at it? And let's just say you're not good at all, how could you get better at it? Because these are questions that I believe that must be asked, because quite frankly, if you're not asking these questions, um, if you're not asking these type of questions, I feel like you're not getting the full squeeze out of life just simply based off of the simple fact that speaking and conveying ideas is literally all that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We do that in the macro, we do it in the micro, and if you want somebody to perceive you a certain way, if you're not able to convey that to them the proper way, then they'll never look at you that way.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And when you see people who are just mind blown by some of your ideas, I've seen this a few times, right, in my own personal life. Just every now and then, right, it'll just be on any given day. I'll just out of nowhere, I'll actually have a time where I can properly convey what I'm thinking, right, and I'll just see people just that just what, and it's one of the best feelings you can get. But you can only get that feeling if you work on your ability to actually convey what your ideas.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly. This is something that I believe that must be Practice for sure. This must be prioritized and practice. And really the only way that you kind of get better at this is by either putting yourself in a position like a podcast or just having conversations in general, right? There's a lot of people who don't have enough conversations or they don't have enough good conversations with the right people. And a part of having conversation is thinking as well, right? And you're kind of hopefully thinking and speaking at the same time instead of just thinking, right? I feel like that's a trap that a lot of people fall into is they get caught up in their own thoughts and then when they try to think they think about what they're trying to say instead of just saying what they're thinking. If that makes any sense.
That does make sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because those are two separate things for sure. Those are two separate things. There's a lot of people that will conflate both of those two things, but that's not exactly the same thing, right? So for me, for example, right now, I'm just saying what I'm thinking. I'm not just thinking about what I'm about to say. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So yeah.
I do the exact opposite typically. I spend a lot of time. It's not intentional, but I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm gonna say, and then I end up saying something completely different anyways. And I'm like, what? Why did I even say that?
Mm.
But it's actually it's a skill that has to be developed. Just saying what you think
Mm.
and properly conveying it, as opposed to spending so much time on the thought process that you don't even get out what you want to say the right way.
Exactly. It is what I like. It is what everyone knows is freestyling. Freestyling your own ideas, your own thoughts. You're not a rapper, but quite frankly, you still got to freestyle off the top of the dome. So you got to do that. You got to get better at that. And how can you get better at it for sure? Getting into the next one. Now, this is one that I spend a lot of time thinking about, and this is something that I've mentioned on a few podcasts, as I believe it is one of the most profound questions that I feel like not enough people give a lot of thought to. And this is, what are the best problems to have? And how could you put yourself in a position to have those problems? So to break it down, there's going to be certain problems that maybe people that you would like to be like have, right? Maybe they struggle with maybe they're self-critical about themselves, about their diet, and when they eat something that isn't aligned with their diet, they start to have self-conflicting ideas, right? But let's just say this person looks good. Maybe they built up their body, and maybe the reason that they built up their body was because they were strict with their diet, and now they have problems where they feel guilty for eating the foods that they just ate, right? That is what I would deem to that is what I would deem to be having a good problem. Of course, I'll give you another one. Let's just say um, you're a person who's self-disciplined. You go to the gym 5 days a week, and this day you kind of really don't want to go into the gym, and that's a problem because you know you have to, right?
Yeah.
That is what I would deem to be a good problem to have, right? And like I said, just evaluate the people that have the problems that you want to have, and how could you get that for yourself?
Yeah. I agree with this one. I remember you said it in one of the other podcasts, but I'll reiterate it again. This is easily one of the most genius questions you've come up with, and I say that
Appreciate it.
because quite frankly, I've seen this in real time before. I've seen people they're struggling far more than I am. Right? I'll be thinking, man, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to do that today. Right? And it's just basic errands to run. Right? That I know I can get out of the way. It's not gonna strongly affect me negatively if I don't do them. Right? But I just don't have to do them. And then people have talked to me before. Right? And these people have terrible financial situations, terrible health situations, terrible family situations, and I'm like, damn, I'm glad I have my problems as opposed to your problems.
Hmm.
And you can and you see it in videos like, damn, I wish I had his problems or I wish I had her problems. It's it surely is one of the most thought out
What,
questions that I've heard so far.
what did Drake say? What did he say? What did he say? He said, they say more money, more problems. Bring on the problems. Come on now, you know what time it is, right? But like I said, there's going to be certain problems that a lot of people, or there's going to be certain problems that you must particularly point out and say that is a good problem to have. That is a bad problem to have. And there's a lot of people who don't really necessarily have that in perspective. That their situation, the alternative of their situation or the alternative of their problem is a problem they want to completely stay away from. And you should be glad and thankful that you have the problems that you have because quite frankly the alternative is not ideal at all, right?
Yeah.
And another thing I want to mention with this because I feel like not enough people think about this, right? Everybody has problems, man. Here's the thing. Let's just say all the problems that you have right now are solved. You're still gonna have problems, man. I feel like a lot of people they think that they're going to be able to get to this point within their life, or they strive to get to this point in their life where they're going to have no problems at all, when in reality, that's when you're going to have probably the most problems you've ever had.
Exactly.
Now, they're just going to be different problems. They're probably just going to be more favorable problems. But like I said, those are going to be the best problems, and you must define what those are, so eventually you'll have them.
Yeah. Actually, that might be one of the biggest problems is thinking you have no problems at all.
Mm,
Yeah.
100%.
Because then more than likely that's delusion, which is a problem in itself.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I would 100% agree with that for sure. And like I said, to not say you have any problems, man. Like I said, there's gonna be points in life where you should feel good, but like I said, there's also a feeling of too much good, man. You get into that, and that's you're encountering a problem that is is one that defeats a lot of people who are living good, man. That's for sure. Is the beginning. It's the beginning of the end, beginning of the downfall for damn sure. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna read this comment real quick, and then we'll get back on topic. All right, every decision has its problems. That's what people don't realize. They envy people who don't have their problems, not realizing they're responsible for it. Exactly. 100% right. 100% right. Yes, every decision has problems. Like I said, the going to the gym, for example, right? There's gonna be problems that people have, and this is just one quick example, right? I'm overweight. I have health problems. I'm going to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym, but I still go. I don't feel comfortable, but you still go. Those are problems that people have.
yeah.
What problem would you rather have? It should be an easy answer.
Easy answer.
All right. Getting into the next one, this is another one that I spent a lot of time on because quite frankly, I don't see enough people asking themselves this question. And by answering this question, you're going to have a lot more clarity of the direction that you want to go ahead and move in for sure. This question is, what makes a man honorable and undeniably respectable? Now, like I said, if you're a woman watching this, right, you should be able to hopefully cater that question to your gender, right? And so to answer that question, right, what makes a man honorable and undeniably respectable, right? I would like you to go ahead and observe people that you truly admire, that you truly respect, that are truly honorable men or honorable women, right? How do they move? What do they do? What do they not do? What actions do they take? What identities do they uphold? And what are the things that they're disciplined in? Asking yourself all those questions and answering them, becoming very, very clear with them, is going to give you a good guide of how you want to move within this life. What, like I said, specifically what actions to take, what identities to uphold. Because quite frankly, if you're a man watching this, you should want to feel honorable. You should want to feel undeniably respectable, as respect is one of the biggest things that men have on top of all of our value hierarchies. What do you think about that, Anthony?
Oh yeah, for damn sure. I think there's two traits actually. Well, two things that should be that go two qualities that all men need to have in order to be, honorable and undeniably respectable, which is one, truthful, 100% truthful, 100% of the time, right? So that no matter what, right, your actions, your words, they always align. There's no doubt that what you say is what you mean, and what you mean is what you do and how you move.
Hmm.
And two is trial and error, that trials and tribulations. It's what men have to go through, right? You have to have some level of failure and success that proves that you can competently achieve a task or get out of a bad situation to some degree.
Hmm.
Some proof that you know what you're doing.
Okay, so almost like enduring struggle,
Yeah.
you'd say. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that for sure. And like I said, just to give you another one just off the top of the dome, what makes a man honorable and undeniably respectable? A man who's truly self-disciplined for sure, who has a lot of things clarified for themselves and who lives by what they have clarified, right? Um, which all it's gonna be it's gonna go into a different question that I have for you guys today. But yes, a respectable man, a man who's undeniably respectable is gonna be a man who's going to be disciplined, like Anthony had mentioned, who says exactly what he means and does exactly what he thinks is is what he says for sure. So and like I said, it's gonna go and extend beyond all of what we say on today's episode for sure. So answer that, observe it very, very thoroughly, and more importantly, I think this is also something that you must evaluate as well. What makes a man not honorable, and what makes a man easily disrespectable? That's for damn sure. Because there's going to be certain things, and I hate when people have this conversation. They're like, "Oh yeah, well I respect all people. All people earn my trust until until they don't."
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Understand that not all people are respectable.
That's just what it is.
Not even close. Respectfully, not all people are respectable. There's a lot of people, they're pushovers, they get stepped on, they get walked all over, right? And they'll just take it. And it makes absolutely no sense. That is not a respectable person. They don't even respect themselves. So I don't know how you could possibly respect them either.
That's for damn sure. And like I said, I feel like that perspective of, oh, I respect all people, I trust all people, into proven, like it's just like, that's just in my opinion, that's just so PC, man. I don't believe that for sure. And I feel like most people truly, they might put on that front, but quite frankly, they might put in that front to seem very very nice, but quite frankly, most people, I would say they agree with that. They unconsciously treat people certain ways, right? It's just an unconscious thing. For example, right? If you see a guy who's in great shape, who's a big fucking dude, who's just jacked, he's in shape, right? That's undeniably gonna give you. You're undeniably gonna treat that person with more respect and with more, and that person's obviously going to have more honor within that. He's gonna move more confident, right? Or if this person who's 7,000 pounds, or let's just say, let's be for real here. Let's just say like they're like 500 pounds, you're going to respect that person less.
Easily.
Here's the thing, it's going to be an unconscious thing. You're not going to say, oh, I'm going to respect them just as much as, like, no. They have missing fundamental human qualities. If you have missing fundamental human qualities, you can't even get the respect of other people. You just can't. You just can't. It just doesn't make any sense to even give that person the full respect. And like I said, I know this is an unconscious thing. It's not like I'm saying like, oh yeah, I see a fat person, just disrespect them. I'm not saying that shit. I'm saying simply, you're going to act accordingly, and it's going to be an unconscious thing. You're going to more likely give more respect to a person who's jacked as opposed to a person who's just either super skinny or super fat.
Yeah,
I didn't make it this way.
exactly. It's literally just the way it is. Anyone who can say that they're gonna respect them both equally, they're either lying to themselves or they're very naive. That's the only two that you can really put them into the category. Because honestly, there's just no way you can say yes. I see you for who you are. I see you for who you are. Realistically, come on now. We're we're flawed we're flawed beings, humans. We're there's no way you see them on the same pedigree.
Yeah, you just, like I said, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's simple. It's simple life, man.
Yeah.
Getting into the next one. This is one that I have given a lot of thought about as well, as I've done off with all these, right? This question is, what is your purpose in this season of life, and what is your general life purpose? And I believe, quite frankly, this should be an ever expanding answer, right? You're never going to fully become 1,000% clear of what these things look like for you, and these things should be ever evolving, right? So the reason why I want you to ask this question is because, quite frankly, I do believe that a lot of people, they don't have a clearly defined purpose, right? They kind of live their life, and they kind of have a general, oh, maybe they do, maybe they don't. They kind of have a general idea of what their purpose is or what they're supposed to do. And if you move and don't have a clarified purpose, you're going to move differently than a person who has a very very strong clarified purpose, right? They know what they're doing, and they know what they're here for. They know what they have to do, and they know that, yeah, they simply just know what they have to do. And the person that is going to live a little bit more, a little less purposeful life is going to just have more questions about life. They're going to be moving through life without structure. At least in my personal opinion, a person who doesn't have a clearly defined purpose is going to be more easily able to fall off track, as opposed to the person who has a clearly defined purpose.
Yeah, for damn sure. You notice people who already have their purpose defined, right? They already know how to get there, or they have an idea as to what they need to do to get to there or to fulfill their purpose, as opposed to someone who doesn't. They kind of just more so wander around looking for their way in life, as opposed to knowing what they want to do with their life and what is the best course of action for them. It's a kind of a I wouldn't say freer lifestyle, but I'd say it's definitely not as what's the word I'm looking for? Like not as structured, not a structured lifestyle. So,
I would agree.
which is actually harder, I'd say. Knowing your purpose, right? It's easier in a sense that, right, you know how to get there. For in a not that you know how to get there, but you know where you're going, as opposed to walking through the dark
Hmm.
with no purpose. So,
So, like I said, I broke that down into two questions, right? So, what is your purpose for this season of life,
mm,
right? And I do believe that this is going to change more frequently, maybe from year to year, maybe a few months, and then it'll change. So, yes, what is your purpose in this season of life? With your current set of problems that you have, what are the problems that you need to go ahead and solve for sure, right? And you'll hopefully find more purposeful work along the way when you're trying to answer those questions. And then, like I had mentioned, right? What is the general life purpose that you have? You should have a clearly defined general purpose for your life. So mine is my purpose is to inspire, empower, and educate the ones around me and of my influence. This is something that I believe about. This is something that I've constantly thought about. And like I said, it is expanded over time. And I will live my life based off of that, inspiring, educating, and empowering the ones around me and of my influence. Right. And I would say to answer that for myself, what is my purpose in this season of life? I think right now it's just to um, help get the right message to the right person at the right time. That is what I believe it is right now.
true, good shit. For me, purpose at the moment, I'm unfortunately with the masses on this one. I'm still searching for mine, but I'm getting there. Um, Taking it one day at a time. But I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure if it's my purpose though.
Sure.
So,
And like I said, it can also be a lot broader. Like I said, I would say a lot of people they can kind of think narrow. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with a person who has a narrow purpose, of course, right? But some of these things are just a given, in my opinion, right? You can say, oh, my purpose is to be a father. Your purpose could be a lot more grander than that, and of course, that might be part of your purpose. But quite frankly, I do believe that people, depending on what you would like, right? Like I said, this podcast is not intended for ears of the average, of course. So, you automatically watching this, you should already strive for more than just an average purpose, right? Your purpose should be something that not everybody can attain, or that not everybody wants to attain. And yeah, I would say it's just as simple as that. So think a little bit more broad, and also, of course, with this, think about ways in which you can fulfill this purpose as much as you possibly can, because it'll give you the most life fulfillment
yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
All right, getting into the next one. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. It says, this one was a question for me. By me. It was. I also thought on this one for. I've been thinking on this one for a long, long time. It's why is it so important to avoid negative self-talk, right? And it's something that I've seen way too much of from people, right? They say it so casually, right? They'll say, "Oh, I'm stupid," or "I don't know," or "I'm dumb," right? I'm like, why would you ever say that about yourself at any given time, even if it's just as a joke, right? This it's it's a mindset for failure. All right, it's literally a setup for failure, right? It will never benefit you at any point at any given time ever, right? And it slowly but surely destroys you, and people don't even realize it, right? This it's how you basically force yourself into depression, right? And it is so detrimental to your health, mental health particularly, but uh,
It could also defeat your physical health as well.
this is
What you
true.
say, if you can convince yourself that you're sick, quite frankly, you'll be sick. If you can convince yourself, even if you're sick, that you're healthy and you're getting healthier, you can literally trick your own mind into being more healthy. And I think that people don't take that with enough seriousness, and they don't take self talk with enough seriousness, right?
Exactly. Yeah. People don't understand the power of the brain. Honestly, when I say that, it's yeah. So if you talk negatively about yourself, you will genuinely start to believe that. Just like if you're injured and you don't know you're injured, more than likely, I've done this myself, right? You don't. You're like something feels weird, maybe, and then you see the injury, and that's when it starts to hurt, right? It's because you've established in your brain that that hurts, right? It's just like you've established in your brain that you are someone who isn't doing something right, or you don't believe in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you say that, right? Once you verbalize that, you once you verbalize that, right? You you start to become that, and it makes you so much worse off than what you already were.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, very, very easily, for sure. And like I said, you need to ask yourself this question. Of course, we're going to give some of the answer as well, but think about this in a general sense, right? Why is it important? Observe the people who don't have good self-talk, right? I've unfortunately had to have plenty of jobs where I can witness people who don't have the best self-talk, and it is honestly the saddest shit that I've ever experienced. Like Anthony mentioned, why would you talk to yourself this way? Why would you say that? Why would you why would you project that to the world? And here's the thing, the saddest part about it is I have to witness this, but this becomes the program of life that is my life. I have to now endure this same shit self-talk that you have about yourself into my own life. It becomes a part of my own subconscious programming. And it's so shit because I don't want to be around people like that. And honestly, if you've been around any person that has negative self-talk, you don't want to be really around them when they're talking that dumb shit. Oh, kill myself, bro. Bro. Shut the fuck up, bro. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? Why? I just don't understand that shit. And like I said, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're taking life too serious. Oh, it was just a joke, man." If there's one thing you shouldn't joke about, it's how you talk to yourself. That's for damn sure.
For damn sure. I've actually actively seen this, right? I've also seen it in the workplace, and I always just look at him awkward. I'm like, why are you talking like that? What how little low of self esteem do you have? How little confidence do you have to actually even for those words to even come out of your mouth? And it always confused me. I'm like, what? What? Here's the thing though. The counter is also true though, right? If you have positive self talk, right, you can accomplish so much more, right? There's a quote, right, and it's a very common one. They say, if you say you can do it, you're right. If you say you can't do it, you're right, right? It's it's the same thing. If you say you can do it, you can do it. If you say you can't do it, you can't do it, right? It's just a matter of, do you believe you can do it? Do you believe in yourself? And if you have negative self talk, I'm sorry to tell you, whether if it's just joking or just in passing or just talking to whoever, sorry to tell you, yeah, you don't have it.
100%. Like I said, just understand the importance. Write it out if you have to, because quite frankly, this is very, very important for damn sure. Getting into the next one, this is going to be one of the most profound questions that I've ever asked myself, and this was, I believe, this was the start of what I believe had really taken my life for a turn when I analyzed not only my own current situation, but where I wanted to go and kind of how I was setting my life up. And this question is, what is the lifestyle that you would like to live, and are you currently taking the path that will lead you there? So this is a question that I had gotten from this one guy who I would consider one of my old mentors for my life. He was a person who had asked me that question, and then it made me really reflect not only about my life and the decisions I was making within my own life, but more importantly within the decisions and the observations that I made about other people. It made me begin to realize that there's a lot of people who would want a certain lifestyle. They want to live a certain way, they want to have certain things, they want to have a certain amount of money, right? But quite frankly, their job, their life situation is not set up for that to be even a practical thing. And it's like they're living within this dream fantasy world where they're like, oh, I want this thing, but I don't want this thing. My actions are not suggesting that I want this thing, but I'm just telling myself because it sounds cool, right? And it's one thing to say something like that and be on the path to it. And it's one thing to be saying that and the path that you're talking about is simply not the path that you're taking, right? And I just find this to be absolutely laughable when I hear somebody and I'm like, okay, you want that? That's cool and all, but let me look at your life. Look at your life yourself. Is it even aligned? Can you? Here's the thing: if 15 years on your same current journey that you're on, is that even achievable? Do you even have the mental bandwidth to even conceptualize that? And most of the time, it's no. Like I said, it's absolutely ridiculous. So when you choose a career, when you choose a habit, when you choose an identity to uphold, is it aligned to the lifestyle that you want? When you choose a life decision, right? When you choose a health decision, is that aligned to the lifestyle that you would like to live? And if it's not, then you're probably doing the wrong thing. And of course, there's going to be, I'm not saying, oh yeah, the career that you're doing is only set up so you can only make $50,000 a year. You need to quit your shit right now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you need to be understanding that the job that you're in right now might not be the ideal job that you can have. But it is absolutely dumb of you to not being able not it is absolutely dumb of you to not, when you're outside of the job, be putting yourself in a position or at least conceptualizing an idea that is going to get you out of that current situation, that is going to help you get aligned to the lifestyle that you eventually want to live. Because if not, you're just talking about this shit. And I can't stand people who just talk about shit. Either be about it, and you need to have a clear path that you need to go ahead and take. So define your path that you want. Define the lifestyle that it would look like. And then look at your actions based off of that and say, is this shit even aligned? Or am I just talking about it, man? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's right on the money. That's a one fire ass statement. Yeah, it's because if you don't do the things that align with what you want to do, no, not what you want to do in your life, the things you for the lifestyle you want to live, and you're just staying in the same place, then you realize that's probably not what you actually want. Because if it is what you actually want, right, you'll start realizing that some of the things that you're doing, they don't bring you that same fulfillment, that same happiness, right? So, and if you actually do wish to live the lifestyle, right, that you've envisioned for yourself, right, you'll start actively thinking on it more and like, you know what? I can take this step to get there. I can take this step to get there, right? But obviously, that's going to mean you're going to cut off the things that you're doing right now that aren't beneficial to that lifestyle, right? And you'll start realizing that you never really wanted to do that stuff in the first place. I mean, sure, it was nice at the time, but seeing as it doesn't align with what you want to do, right? For your what you wish to do for your lifestyle's sake, right? It was had to be cut off. Really.
Yeah, for sure.
It's yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Like I said, it's one of those things, man, where you're just like, don't be a person who's contradicting within your own actions, because quite frankly, you're defeating yourself before life even defeats you, for damn sure. So evaluate all these things, man. Be very, very clear with the lifestyle that you want to live in the end goal. What is the end goal? What does it look like? Is this decision that I'm doing today going to affect that decision, or is it not? And if it's not, or if it is, and it's going to affect it in a negative way, then quite frankly, you know what you need to do. You know the decisions you need to make. You know the things that you need to remove, and it'll give you the process of elimination, right? Is this even worth my time? Shit, simple as that.
Yeah, you'll realize how many things aren't worth your time too.
That's for damn sure. All right, getting into the next one. Get into the next one. Go ahead.
Yeah. This one is right. Been thinking on this one for a while too. It's what kind of support should you receive from your inner circle, right? And there's different kinds of support that you receive from your inner circle, as does everyone, right? Everyone has their all small little group, right? Typically, their closest of friends, and some of them, right? Some of the support you receive from them isn't necessarily the support you need to receive from them, right? Some of them, they'll hype you up, right? They'll encourage you, right? But they don't actually actively take a role in trying to help you, right, or push you to pursue the things that you need to do to get where you want to go. And like, here's a good example, right? For me, right, one of the things, right, that I noticed one of my people from my inner circle, specifically Champ, right, my boy, this motherfucker, man. Oh man, and I hate doing it, but man, I love doing it at the same time, right? He told me we were going to do this a few weeks ago, right? And it's editing videos. Said, hey man, we're gonna start waking up early in the morning, right? 6:30, 7:30, right? And we're just gonna go straight into work, right? And that's exactly what we do. We still do that, right? Wake up 6:30, 7:30 morning, and it's just straight editing, right? There's no straight editing clips, right? Going over them with each other, reviewing them. How does this look? How does this look? Hey, yo, you can fix this. This can be adjusted, right? All of that, right? And it's working towards what we want to do further in life, right? And that is what your inner circle should do for you. They shouldn't just tell you, "Oh, you're doing a good job. Things will get better," right? Without any extra help, right? Any extra implementations to help you get to where you need to be or help you get to where you want to go, right? Um, so that's like there's good support and then there's good negative support in a sense,
Mm,
right? Like it's still they're still supporting you, but they're not the way you should be supported.
for
Yeah.
sure. I would definitely agree with that for sure. Like Anthony had mentioned, you'll be able to realize a good friend from a great friend for damn sure, very very
Mm.
easily with this for sure. And one thing I want to mention with that is as well as if you're trying to better your friendship, you must have hopefully aligned goals. Your inner circle should be supportive of your goals. And the way that I would say that you have a friend who's really really supportive of your goals and you're supportive of their goals is if you're constantly pursuing something together. So for example, right, me and Anthony go to the gym together, right? We do this 5 days a week, right?
Yep.
We both have a common goal of being healthy and looking good. That's one of our goals. And with that, obviously, the byproduct of that is literally living longer because of that, right? That is a goal that we have. So we do that together. So if there is a goal that you have, or there is goals that you have that are related between you and your friends, right? How can you do those things together? Because doing those things together, first of all, doing those things by yourself is so much harder than doing those things together.
For damn sure. For damn sure. I'd say it takes twice as motivation as it usually would if it's just you by yourself than if you were with someone else, right?
100%.
Because the motivation that you lack yourself, that person makes up for it with their presence. They'll keep pushing you as opposed to if you're by yourself, right? And you say, "Hey man, I can get one more. I can get one more." It's more like, do I really need that one more? Do I really need that one extra one, right? It starts that self what's it called that self
Doubt?
doubt. Well, I wouldn't say exactly say doubt. It's more like self procrastinate, not procrastination either. It's like slacking, right? You start to slack on yourself because you just don't feel as motivated. You don't feel at that push, that drive to go more into it, what you to reach those limits that you thought you couldn't reach. As opposed to when you with the homies and you're like, hey man, you got one more, you got two more, you got three more. Come on, push it, finish it strong. Yeah, you
For
can do it.
Yeah, for damn sure. It definitely when you get that ideal support from your friends, from your friend group, right? It is hopefully going to be something that holds you accountable. And that is the ultimate thing that a group, let's just say a group goal that you have, right? That is the most ideal thing that you possibly can have is accountability, right? Because not it holds you to your word and it holds them to their word. And quite frankly, you shouldn't want to let them down, and they shouldn't want to let you down. And if you're getting that kind of support within the endeavors that you guys choose in this life, then you'll be living a much better life, in my opinion. So, like I said, the quick example, right? The days that I don't want to go to the gym, Anthony says, "Hey, let's go." The days Anthony doesn't want to go, I say, "Hey, let's go." Right? There's that social obligation. There's that accountability that is needed in order to get you to go where you need to go, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't feel motivated, like Anthony was mentioning, right? So, for example, right, so that is what I had set up. I understood Anthony wanted to develop his skill of editing videos, right? And I also understood that I was also slacking myself with editing videos. I just wasn't feeling as motivated to do it because, quite frankly, it's not my favorite thing to do. A part of this entire process, I'll say that for sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely moments where I enjoy it, but quite frankly, it's not my. It doesn't get me fired up to edit some videos, right?
Yeah.
But what I did understand is if we did these things together, if we were able to have a somewhat of a common goal of saying, okay, the first thing we do when we wake up, and this is something that I learned thoroughly, right? This is off on a tangent, but essentially, if you want to do the most difficult task or the task with the highest yield earliest that you possibly can. So, for example, right, it was editing videos, right? That is how you start your day, in my opinion, productively for what I'm doing, right, or for what Anthony's doing, right?
Mhm.
That is how you start your day productively. You start off on the right foot, and with that being said, if you're able to bring somebody along with you, the days where you don't feel like doing it, right? The days that I don't feel like waking up, the days that Anthony doesn't feel like waking up, we're there to say, "Hey, I understand thoroughly that you have this common goal. I understand that you want to get to where you're going. This is how you do it. You do it by showing up every single day. You do it by holding each other accountable, and you go from there. And if you're not getting that kind of support, I don't believe that you're getting the best support that you possibly can. And you might need new friends.
This is true. This is true. Um, yeah, I'd say for sure because unlike him, I love editing. Right, I really do love video editing, but it's hard to get that motivation on my own sometimes. Right, I've never been more locked in than I have in these past few weeks where he said, "Hey, yo, wake up, we're time to edit." I'm like, "Yeah, all right." I don't want to wake up, but I tell you what, some sure enough in time I'm gonna start I get in the zone, right, and I'm like, you know what, I can do this, I got this, right, and sure enough, and he's right there with me, he's editing as well, he's doing the same that thing I'm doing, and it pushes you to be the best version of yourself. For as far as inner circle goes, right, with motivation for its support, right, you can grow together or you can sink together, right.
Mm,
So like you can enjoy, you can collectively, right, become great, or you can collectively stay average. It's and hopefully you got a group that will help you grow as opposed to staying average because well sure you can all be average together but that's a bit sadder.
that's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. Yeah, and like I said, if you're truly not receiving that support, or if you're not achieving the support that you had set out for within your friend group, then quite frankly, you need new friends. It's simple as that, man. Is there anything else you want to say on that one?
I know, I think that's all I got on that one.
All right, getting into the next one, and we have a few more left. If there's any life advice, if there's any life-changing questions that you have for the people, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Like I said, whether you're watching this or watching this live, I want to hear your take. I want to hear your questions. If there's any comments that you have regarding anything that we've mentioned as well, let us know for sure. So now this is going to be one that I have, right? This is going to be a question. No, this is not only going to be a question. This is going to be a few questions, but I do believe, at least within my own mind, you can kind of compartmentalize all of these together because, quite frankly, these all need to be defined for yourself, right? And I do believe that most people who lack these things, they lack the defined structure of these things, quite frankly, I do believe that they live a more aimless life. They live more of a purposeless life. They live more of a meaningless life. And it's simply because of these things right here, right? First question I have for you is this: what do you value? And of course, this is a very, very broad idea, but it's something that need to be clarified, and this is something that should be constantly clarified so you understand what you truly value, right? There's a lot of people who have certain things that they value, and of course, not every single one of your values is going to come up to your mind, right? But if you're able to write it down somewhere, you're going to be in a better position to act on that value than you would be if you just had it within your mind but you never clarified it, for sure, right? So
Mm.
what do you value? You must structure that to an extent. If you don't have that, like I said, there's going to be plenty of opportunities where you could have acted on a value that you do have, but you decided not to because, quite frankly, you did not think about it enough. You did not give it enough respect. You did not give it enough emphasis. So, what do you value? All the things that you value. Maybe you value hard work. Maybe you value self discipline. Maybe you value eating healthy. Maybe you value going to the gym. Maybe you value having a passion. Maybe you value pursuing your purpose. Maybe you value all of these things, right? Which I hope you do, right? And maybe you value other things, right? But just being clear with these things in which you value, because quite frankly, what you value should dictate your actions, not what you want to go ahead and do.
That's facts. You notice when you define what you value and you know what you value, you feel inclined to chase after what you value.
Hopefully,
Hopefully. Yeah.
I agree. So, like, and then I'll get back to it, right? So first, clarify with what you value, right? Another one you want to go ahead and clarify is what are your standards for the life that you want, right? There's going to be a certain standard that you should hold yourself to and hold the life that you want to go ahead and live with for sure. So if you here's the thing, you're going to be more likely to compromise on your standards that you have for yourself if you do not have them clearly defined. That is the fault of a lot of people. Quite frankly, they don't even live up to their own standard. And they wonder why they're depressed. They wonder why they're sad. They wonder why they're not living up to their potential. It is because you're not even living up to the standard that you had set for your own life.
Mm.
You weren't even clearly defined within what standard that you want to go ahead and live up to. So of course you're going to be a frequent visitor of negative emotion. It is simply because you don't have these things even defined for yourself. And if you have it defined for yourself, then you at least know how to act.
Mm.
People don't even know how to act correctly. As simple as that. Isn't that a goddamn shame, Anthony?
That really is a shame. Shit.
Is there anything you want to
Well,
add on that one?
for standards, let's see. I don't think I have too much on that one. Let's see. Yeah, honestly, any standard you can hold someone else to, you should be able to hold yourself to at the very least.
I'd agree.
And if you can't hold yourself to that standard, then you either need to lower your standards or higher your way of living your life.
I agree.
Probably.
And with that as well as like this, right? There's going to be a bare minimum that you should live with when it comes to your standards, and I do believe that it is your job to constantly raise that bare minimum of what your standards are. Your ability to go ahead and do that is going to reap you certain benefits of this life. And if you look at people, if you look at people and they don't have an ideal life or they don't have their own perceived version of their ideal life, it is because their standards for themselves, their expectations for themselves are at the very very minimum. Their bare minimum is actually the bare minimum. Nah, scary, isn't it, Anthony? Scary. That shit's scary,
That
bro.
is scary. Holy
Couldn't
shit.
be me. Couldn't be me, man.
Man.
But yeah, getting into the next one, right? And like I said, this is another one you need to be clear with, right? This is going to be another value, and all of these kind of go hand in hand. This is why I coupled them all together. But what are your morals? People they don't have a specific defined moral code that they live by. So like I said, if you don't have a specific moral code that you live by, it is going to be much easier to not live by the code that you have within your own mind. Because everybody has all these things that I've mentioned. Everybody has certain things that they value. Everybody has standards that they have for their life. Everybody has morals. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But with that being said, what are they? And if you don't have it defined for what they are specifically, you're going to be in a position where you might just not act on those because you just don't have them in the top of mind.
Mm. I think this one goes back to one of the questions it goes hand in hand with what you said earlier with the what makes a man honorable and undeniably respectable. I think what makes anyone honorable and undeniably respectable is at least a strong moral code, at the
100%.
very least. And sad to say, it is very much slacking in modern society, and it's getting significantly worse. So hold yourself to be better than the majority, I would say, for sure.
100%. 100%. And getting into the next one, like I said, this is all within the same question in my head, right? What boundaries do you have clearly defined? So, for example, right, maybe that they're maybe and like I said, also, how do you go about somebody that is stepping on your boundaries, right? These are things, in my opinion, that are basic. These are things that I've thought about thoroughly, right? If somebody disrespects you, if somebody steps on your boundary of respect, right, and they go ahead and disrespect you, how do you go about that? How do you approach that situation? And you also must define what is a lacking of respect, what is disrespectful, what is the boundary. If you don't have these things clearly defined, like Anthony had mentioned earlier in the podcast, people are going to step all over you and they're going to think that it's completely okay because you didn't tell them any otherwise.
Exactly. Any boundary that is stepped on needs to be confronted immediately, and it needs to be known. Hey, yo, we can't do this. This is not acceptable. I expect you to be better than this. For this is where I draw the line. Don't cross that line. Simple as that.
For damn sure.
Or any interaction between us will be held to a bare minimum, if any at all.
Yeah. So and like
It's
like I said, okay, my good.
Oh no, no, I was just saying, and people who can't uphold that, right, don't deserve to be in your life, right? Anyone who can't uphold any boundaries that you set, right, realistically, shouldn't be in your life. Either that, or maybe they'll take some time to tell you, hey, this is something that's kind of outrageous as far as boundaries go. Maybe adjust, but that's just part of life. So
Yeah, that should be part of the bare minimum for sure. And another kind of aspect that I want to take this specific question, right? I'm gonna ask you one more time. What boundaries do you want to have clearly defined? I feel like a lot of people within relationships and a lot of people that are in the dating scene, they do not have these things clearly defined. So they kind of just try to make it work with somebody, and little do they know, or little do they even have it within their mind as a potential problem that will eventually come, because it really does, is they didn't lay out the boundaries. Say, hey, I wouldn't like if you did this. If you did this, it would make me feel some type of way. They never have those conversations. And then when somebody steps on your boundaries or somebody crosses a boundary that you have, right? You have an emotional outburst because quite frankly, you didn't fuck with that. That was an unclear, undefined value or undefined boundary that you have that you had placed as an expectation for that person to go ahead and follow, but that person never knew it. So, of course, it was a matter of time before they failed. And then you got pissed off at somebody for doing something that they didn't know that they couldn't do. So it is just as simple as that. I think it's one of the goofiest things that I've seen within relationships. It's the goofiest things that I've seen within anybody who's trying to develop any intimate connection with another person. Right? If you're not able to clearly define your boundaries and say, hey, you can't. Essentially, it is like this: you can't do this, and you can do this, or more specifically, you can't do this. Right?
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people say, "Oh my God, how could you tell somebody what to do?" Hey, brother, I don't. That's for you to get upset. I don't really care, brother. But
For real.
but essentially, that's pretty much what it is, right? It's laying out your boundaries, laying out what you're willing to accept, and laying out what you're not, for sure.
Exactly. You'll save yourself a lot of trouble if you lay out those boundaries soon. Like, hey, yo, these are our lines. Don't cross them. Simple as that, right? If you don't lay out those boundaries and they cross those boundaries, realistically, you shouldn't be mad. Don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. That's something I heard. No, not incompetence, ignorance. It said don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to ignorance, right? And that's basically you can't get mad over something that people didn't know was wrong.
Hmm.
So that's why it's very important to let them know what you want, what you're expecting, and what you want out of that interaction before you delve too deep into it, and the next thing you know, you got a really big problem when one of those boundaries are crossed, but nothing was communicated on that level.
That's for damn sure. And another thing I want to mention before we go ahead and move on is I feel like a lot of people would more quickly find out whether they're compatible with somebody or whether they're not, simply based off of them defining and clarifying what their boundaries are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that find out. This is through my own perception, right? There's a lot of people who would find out and who would have had their boundaries stepped on. Let's just say within the first like 6 months of dealing with somebody, that I would figure out very very quickly within the first, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks of conversation.
Yeah. You save yourself a lot of time that way.
100%, right? You be able to see you should be able to quickly evaluate whether you're compatible with this person through explaining your boundaries that you have, the things that you're uncomfortable with, and the things like I said, that person needs to know as a boundary so they don't step on your shit, right? Simple as that. And the last one that I want to mention with this, right? This is going to go hand in hand with all these things that I mentioned already, right? What are the life principles that you would like to live by? Defining these, man. Like I said, these can kind of all be separate things, but these are all together in my own head, right? What are the life principles that you would like to live by? A lot of people they don't have principles. They don't have moral code. They don't live by what they value. They don't understand their boundaries. They don't understand their standards, right? Clearly define all of these things and you're going to be in a much better spot for sure. Is there anything you have to say with the life principles? Same thing pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. It's if you have all this figured out, then you're in a much better position than someone who is still figuring this out, or better, even worse off, someone who has none of this figured out. So
That's for damn sure. And like I mentioned with this, right? There's going to be a lot of people who have these things within their mind, but they don't have them clearly defined. And if you don't have them clearly defined, then quite frankly, you're not exactly going to always act on them in the positions where you have the ability to act on them. So just define them for yourself, man. Like I said, that one aspect. If you didn't take anything from any of this podcast, but you just took that one section seriously, your entire life is going to be changed. I promise. And we got a few more questions. We're gonna go ahead and ask them. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments or game you want to give the people, let me know in the comments whether you're rewatching this or watching this live for sure. Anthony, go ahead, and where you at right now?
the one, yeah,
All right, go ahead.
yeah. This one, I've put some thorough thought into this one, but I'm still figuring it out myself. And that's what motivates you into action, right? Like what drives you to accomplish the things you wish to accomplish, right? Is it people around you? Is it a goal that you wish to accomplish, right? Is it a problem that you wish to solve, right? It has to be something. What motivates you into action, right? If nothing motivates you at all, then you're in a really bad spot. Obviously, this is a very broad term, but if what was I going to say here?
You got it.
So So if how do I want to explain this? Because there's there's a route I can go with this, but I'm not sure. All right, so someone who is motivated and poorly motivated, right, into action, right, they're gonna realize that whatever action they're trying to get to, right, or whatever action they're trying to accomplish, it's either not going to get accomplished or it's not going to have the proper outcome that they desire, right?
Okay.
If you're motivated into action, right, properly strong driven, right, into action, you can you can get there much more efficiently and effectively than if you're if you're just kind of just about it, So how do I want to put this? So if for your I fumbled this one. I fumbled this one. But it should be someone or something, right, or some purpose that motivates you to get in to do it in action, right? Like we were saying earlier, right? If you want a healthy body, right, that should motivate you to get into the gym, right? If you want to be rich, right, find a hobby or a talent or a skill, right? Anything that you can act on, right, and build on it, right? So you can become financially free, financially successful, right? If you want to, let's say, what else is there? Really, like, if you want to, get into a relationship with someone, right, a successful relationship, right, then you do what the previous question. You define your boundaries, set standards, know your values, all this stuff, right? That should motivate you into achieving that stuff so that you can bring forth that into a relationship, right? If you don't have any of this, right, any action that you would take, right, is not properly motivated.
For sure.
Yeah.
I agree. So I can give you a few more things that I would say that maybe people will view as motivation, right? This is going to be dark motivation. This is going to be one of the biggest contributors to my own personal motivation. This is going to be the people that told you you couldn't do it. This is going to be the
Mm.
people who doubted you. These are going to be the people who, like I said, you can create this narrative within your own mind, quite frankly, right? Maybe this is an ex that didn't choose you. Maybe this is a girl who said no or rejected you, right? These are all things that I do believe that will fall into that motivation that should allow you and should hopefully provoke some emotional reaction out of you that hopefully you can turn into a favorable situation. And yeah, there should be many things like Anthony had mentioned. Maybe it's a certain goal that you have. Maybe it's progression. Maybe it's a certain lifestyle. Maybe it's a certain health marker. Maybe it's a certain status symbol. Um, but these things, hopefully, you need to define for yourself, and you need to understand thoroughly what motivates you specifically into action. Because quite frankly, not everything's gonna motivate other people. Not everything that motivates other people is gonna motivate you. And another one of those things that might motivate you, maybe it's a challenge. Maybe you truly need a challenge. Maybe you need somebody to say, you can't do that shit.
Yeah.
You say, all right, bet, let me see that shit. I can do it for damn sure, right?
I will say that though. Ain't no better motivation than dark motivation. Yeah, you got that one.
That's for damn sure, man. That's for damn sure. It'll take you places that you never thought you would needed to go, but quite frankly, you needed to go.
Yep.
So yeah,
Doubt from others should fuel you to do things you never believed imaginable.
that's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. Is there anything else you want to say for that?
I think that's all for that statement.
All right, let me read some of these comments. Not only is setting your boundaries important, but also not giving them multiple chances after they cross them. Exactly. Like I said,
Exactly.
if it's a boundary, it should be a landmine, right? Once that shit blows up, you're cooked,
Yeah.
right? Simple as that.
Yeah. If it wasn't defined, that's what you get one warning. If it was defined, you get no warnings. It should be a one and done, realistically. If that boundary is as strong as it should be.
I would agree. I would agree for damn sure. All right, getting to the next one. All right. We got a few more. Let me see how many more we got. 2, 3. We got 4 more. We got 4 or 5 more. Right, getting into the next one. This is one that you must thoroughly analyze. Like I said, life changing. This question right here is one of the most life changing questions that I've ever asked myself. The question is, what does the dystopian version of you look like? What actions do they take, and are you doing them right now? So, what I'll say with this is, everybody's dystopian version is going to look a little different, and obviously you need to have both. I believe you need to have the utopia version of yourself, the most ideal version of yourself. Let's just say this person is super disciplined, super strict on what they say, a man of their word. Maybe it's whatever, right? You can create this. You can create this. Let's just say ideal utopian version of yourself. But with that being said, not only do you need a vision to strive towards, you also need something to run away from. And I do believe that if you create a
Mm.
dystopian version of yourself, this is going to say, if everything went to shit, what would my life look like? I'd be doing this specific action. I would fall back into this type of behavior. I would adopt this new identity. I would become a person who is depressed. I would fall into negative emotion. I would stop doing the things that I love to do. I would I would not pursue my purpose, right? This dystopian version of yourself. And then from when you have both of these things, right? When you have the utopia version of yourself and you have the dystopian version of yourself, right? Evaluate where you are and see what side you're leaning closer towards. If you're leaning closer towards the dystopian version of yourself, then quite frankly, you have no other choice but to start making decisions that are going to steer you in the right direction, get you to lean on the side that you want to go ahead and lean towards. And yeah, Anthony, what do you have to say to that, Anthony?
I think you were right, right on the money, man. This is one of the most best. This is actually along with the other one. This is one of the best questions I've seen so far, and I've actually seen both sides of it too. So I've actually had dreams of both. So I would know very well that I'm luckily to say I'm more towards the dystopian version of myself.
Wait, you dystopian or utopian?
Utopian, not dystopian.
I was like,
Utopian.
oh, you're
Yeah, no,
fucking
no,
cooked,
no,
man.
no. Yeah, I'm more towards the utopian version, not the dystopian version, right? Um, and I've seen my version of it, right? I'm like, okay, well, that means I'm on the right path, right? Which is good because I was like, I already know what my version looks like. It's me driving a Maserati down the street
Okay,
on a maybe a freeway, highway, whatever.
okay,
I'm driving to an appointment to start editing someone's video, and I'm getting paid a fair amount of money for it, right?
okay,
And I'm doing this with a very healthy body, structured, right? Well fit, right? A lot of money in the account, right? It looks good, right? As opposed to the sitting on a couch, fat, depressed, watching TV, something that, you know, don't really need to watch, something that's not really of substance, right? And I'm like, wow, that's those are two very that's a very nice world and a very scary world, right? And you should be scared shitless of the dystopian version of yourself,
I would agree.
realistically. And if you're not, then quite frankly, your dystopian version of yourself isn't as bad. Isn't as bad as you think it is, and it's clearly not the worst version of yourself that you can possibly imagine, which is worse than what you have imagined. And if you see the utopian version of yourself and you're not like, I really want to be that, then you need a better utopian version of yourself as well. So, and if you see that you're leaning towards the dystopian, right? Then I'm gonna tell you now, man. You got a lot of work to put in. You got a lot of work to put in. However, you notice over time with that work, if you can still imagine that utopian version of yourself, right? You'll start to notice that you start to slowly but surely scale upwards towards that. And if you're on the reverse of that, right, and you're at the utopian and you start to scale down, well, guess what? You got some adjustments to make, right?
That's for damn sure. And like I said, it's always good to truly measure up where you are in the present moment because, like Anthony mentioned, it'll say, okay, I need to continue to do the things that I'm doing, or I need to stop doing the things that I've been doing. And just making those little adjustments. Maybe you start your day tomorrow and you started better. You start in the more utopian version of yourself as opposed to the dystopian version of yourself. Maybe you're more happy. Maybe you're more fulfilled. Maybe there's more life enjoyment within that, right? And then that's the way that you should. That's the way that you should live your life. Because quite frankly, what else? Is there even a better way to live your life than that? And like I said, just create the ideals. Create the ideals and the less than ideals for yourself, man. Simple as that. Is there anything else you want to add to that one, Anthony?
It's just one more thing, right? You'll notice, right? The utopian version of yourself, right, doesn't you don't get that without the struggle, right? As opposed to the dystopian version of yourself, as first indulge in vices and becomes trapped by the same vices. So that's why I'd say be little bit cautious about how you indulge in vices when, picturing when journeying for your utopian version of yourself.
For sure. I would definitely 100% agree. You either that or you're gonna be a slave, man. That's for damn sure.
I'm sure.
All right, getting into the next one. Anthony, that's you.
All right. This one is similar to the other one. It's what motivates you into action. This one is, where should inspiration come from? Inspiration should come from those who have come before you and those who will come after you, right? So look to the people, right, who have done what you've wanted to do or who have the life that you want to have, right? And look to them for inspiration, and guidance, if possible, on how you should, take your steps going forward, right? Um, Also, inspiration could also come from the negative, right? And see where people who are at, right, who are also in your lives, and see where you don't want to go, you know, and don't just try to avoid that. Try to do the reverse of that, and push yourself to be the best version of yourself.
For damn
Honestly,
sure.
yeah.
For damn sure. So a few things I would say for this one, right? The question is, where should inspiration come from? I love how you mentioned that you should evaluate the less than ideal versions of people that do exist, and that should be part of your inspiration. You say, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier with the dystopian version, right? The less than ideal version of those people should inspire you to go ahead and act, saying, fuck no, I do not want to be like them. So therefore, the way that I would avoid me from living that life is to go ahead and act on these certain things, right? So key for damn sure, right? And then one thing I want to add to that as well, which kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying. Where should inspiration come from? It should also come from the best characteristics in the people that you truly admire, right? So, for example, right, maybe you don't fully admire the person as an entire whole, but you're inspired by a certain ability or certain characteristic of this person. So, for example, right, let's just say I'll use one of my inspirations right here, right? We'll do LeBron James, right? Maybe I don't want to be like LeBron James because maybe he just doesn't tell the truth about certain things, and maybe he doesn't speak on topics that he needs to go ahead and talk about because he's just whatever. We'll just say that, right? But I'm inspired by his longevity. I'm inspired by how he goes about the process of what he's pursuing, right? So I'm inspired by that. Like I said, I wouldn't say you need to pedestalize people, but I do believe that you need to be inspired by the right parts of them. So, for example, right, I have Big Sean, J. Cole, and Drake. Like I said, Drake's a good example of this as well. Is I'm inspired by his creative ability, right? His ability to, like I said, also with LeBron James, the longevity of that, right? To be dedicated to your craft. I'm inspired by that. I'm not inspired by Drake as a person, because quite frankly, everybody's gonna have their flaws. Everybody's gonna have um, their downsides essentially. But I feel like it is much more important to be inspired by the characteristics of a person that you truly want to be like, at least in certain aspects of life, for sure.
For sure. As a matter of fact, it actually reminded me, right, where should inspiration come from? This reminded me of one of the things that you told Drew recently when we were at the gym, but it was a year one quote, right? And it was one of yours. You said, what was it? It was, don't take advice from anyone you don't want to look like, right? Well, you don't want to be like, right? I remember we were in the gym and when you first said that, right?
Yep.
We are doing pull ups. This guy was trying to show an adjustment version, and you were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that." I was like, why not? He's like, "You see what he looks like. You see what we look like, right?" He said, "Don't take advice from anyone you don't want to look like in here."
That's for damn sure,
Damn
right?
sure.
That's an entirely different thing. But yeah,
That I mean, it's an entirely different thing, but in the sense that, right, you shouldn't be from the negative perspective of it. Like, you shouldn't be not inspiration, but I guess in the
I,
sense that it's not what you're looking towards, right? It's what you don't want, right? You don't get inspiration from something that's worse than you, right? Getting you inspired by what they're doing wrong, and you do it right, pretty much.
100%,
Yeah,
100%. For fantastic, for damn sure. But yeah,
yeah,
like I said, just evaluate specifically for yourself, right? Where should inspiration come from? And then evaluate what inspires you, because what inspires you is not going to inspire the next person. What inspires me, maybe not, maybe won't inspire you. What inspires Anthony maybe won't inspire me or you. So not only where should it come from, but where how are you inspired yourself? For damn sure, right?
I'm sure.
All right, getting to the next one.
That boy
Like I said,
spitting.
we have about, what do you say?
Said that boy spitting,
You already
man.
know what
He's
time it is,
spitting.
brother. You already know what time it is, man. I think we got three more, so we'll go ahead and get into this. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, maybe you have your own piece of information or maybe you have your own life-changing question that you want to give to the people, let me know in the comments for sure. Beginning to one of the last ones, man. All right. I know. Actually, we have four. Or yeah, we have three left. We have three left. This is one that is absolutely essential. It's kind of going to go ahead and sum up a lot of what I've mentioned already and what a lot of Anthony have mentioned already. What brings you wholesome life fulfillment? And are you constantly doing them on a daily and weekly basis? Right. So there's going to be certain actions that you go ahead and do within this life. For me, it's making progress towards the goals that I have for damn sure, right? This is going to bring me wholesome life fulfillment. When it comes down to it, when it comes down to see if I have a good life or if I don't have a good life, it's going to come down to if I'm acting in alignment with what is going to bring me fulfillment within this life. Maybe it's pursuing a family, maybe it's pursuing a certain goal, maybe it's doing it with certain people, right? But all these things should be evaluated for what brings you wholesome life fulfillment, right? One example I'll say that brings me fulfillment is constantly playing basketball. Playing basketball, getting out and doing something, right? Right? Maybe that's going to look different for you. Maybe you have your own certain hobby that brings you some type of fulfillment where when you're doing it, everything kind of goes away. You become laser focused in on doing this, and it takes everything away for a second, right? That is what I would deem to be somewhat of pursuing wholesome fulfillment, right? And the more you can do that on a daily and weekly basis, the better off you're going to be. And of course, we said this for many different things, but quite frankly, you must be living your life for fulfillment and not exactly happiness.
Mm, that's very true. Because really, if you're fulfilled anyways, if you feel fulfilled anyways, you should be happy as a byproduct of that anyways.
100%.
This question is actually basically if you can do this, if you can answer this question and you can live by this, this is a surefire cure for depression. I'd say easily. It's if you feel the most fulfillment, right? If you're doing the things that bring you the most fulfillment at any given time, there's just almost there should be no possible way that you could feel depressed, realistically.
Yeah, definitely not long term. That's for damn
Definitely
sure.
not long term. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, there's probably gonna be the dickhead in the comments. It's like, oh yeah, well, what if you're in? No, come on, no, brother. Let's think a little bit more practical. But
Yeah.
but yes, if you're able to pursue fulfillment, I'm not saying you're always going to be happy, right? And quite frankly, you probably shouldn't even want to be always be feeling happy, right? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. We all know this for damn sure,
Sure.
right? But with that being said, as long as you're pursuing fulfillment, as long as you're on the journey, as long as you're doing what you know you need to do and being who you need to be, that is what fulfillment looks like for me. And if you can do that for yourself, whether you're having a down day or a good day or a bad day, at the end of the day when it's all said and done, at least you could say, "Holy shit, I'm living a good life." And that's ultimately what anyone could ask for at the end of the day. So, what brings you wholesome life fulfillment, and are you constantly doing this on a weekly and daily basis? The more you, like I said, the more you do this, the better off you're going to be, man. I make sure most of the actions that I do are going to bring me fulfillment. And like I said, stray away from the days and just observe it for yourself, right? The days that you feel the worst, I guarantee you're doing the least amount of things that bring you wholesome life fulfillment.
Yeah. And you'll know this. This goes for just about anyone who's ever felt the feeling of fulfillment. They all know it feels way better than happiness. It's there's nothing like it as far as feelings go. You may not be happy when you feel fulfilled, but that feeling of fulfillment is so much stronger than any feeling of happiness could ever be.
I agree. I agree for damn sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, define that for yourself, and you'll be in a much better position and constantly strive for that. Because quite frankly, what else is there better to strive for than life fulfillment? In my opinion, I just don't think there is anything. Quite frankly, getting into the next one. This is another one that I do believe should bring you life fulfillment. And for me personally, the people that I view to have the most fulfilled lives, they're doing this to an extent. These are the people that I'm inspired by, and this is part of the reason of the things that motivate me into action. this is, do you have a creative endeavor or passion that you're frequently working on, right? For me, it is creating a personal brand and doing this podcast. That brings me fulfillment within this life. And I do believe that a lot more people would be much more satisfied with life and much more fulfilled if they created more than just problems in their life, right? I feel like a lot of people they have this tendency to create things, right? But they're not creating anything that is worth anybody's value or truly worth any type of fulfillment within their own life.
Mm, I agree with that. I agree with that. As far as creative endeavor goes and passion, mine is I already explained it, but I'll say it again, right? Which is mine is video editing. I don't know why I love it so much, right? Considering how much of a pain in the ass it also brings me at the same time. But I do feel the most fulfilled when I am video editing, and I appreciate you for sending me the videos to edit that actually will be seen, right? That's actually why how I lost one of my passions before is because I was editing videos, but wasn't not seen by anyone, so it's not as fulfilling. So I which I appreciate you for, bro.
Yeah, no problem,
Um, yeah, and anyone who else, anyone out there, right, who has not found this, I say you gotta really look in and think about what you want to do or find it if you have not found it yet, because once you do find it and once you do pursue it, right, it will be one of the greatest feelings of all time.
man. Yeah, and what I'll say with this as well is it should be the single ordinating principle that you live your life through. And what I mean by that is in more like specific or simpler terms, I'd say um, it is what you do things for, quite frankly. And you would at least like I said, I can speak for my own self. I don't want to do anything that is not in line with my creative endeavor or helping it either directly or indirectly. I really don't want to do anything outside of that, quite frankly. And if you can make this profitable for yourself, so if you can do something that is a creative endeavor and something that you're passionate about, and you can create it into a career and you can make money from it, and now imagine the amount of fulfillment that you would have that you don't view so many people have. If you're able to achieve that for yourself, you're going to be living much better
Yeah,
than most people have lived in history, in my opinion.
yeah, that is like almost the definition of winning at life, pretty much. If there is a thing as winning in life, that's winning.
I would agree,
So
100%.
yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, if you don't have a creative endeavor or a passion that you frequently work on,
Mm.
figure out what that is, try new things, and get back to us. If you have something, let us know in the comments, right? If you have a creative endeavor, let us know what that is. If you do not have a creative endeavor,
Mm.
tell us your struggle with finding one, and we'll go ahead and help you out.
Yep. And also to go with that though, understand that even if you do have an endeavor, a creative endeavor that you do, a passion that you like to go with, understand that all the components that go with it, you may not like all the work it and that you the think may be non essential components to it, everything that is essential to it, right? You may not like it all, but you do have to accept it all for what it is. And when you can accept it all for what it is, you actually can enjoy it the more. You can enjoy the hurt, the suck the more. You can enjoy the suck.
For sure. I got a question real quick. My question is this something I can control or not? It's easy to become anxious, worried, or upset about situations, but okay, is this something I can control or not? So you're saying that's just a life changing question. Okay, let me finish the rest of this comment. But if there is nothing you can do to change it, then it's better to let it go. Okay, so yeah, that is a good question. I'll go ahead and say that one. Is this something I can control or not? 100%. This is something that I do believe that a lot of people they try to control certain life circumstances, and sometimes you can't. And if you put your entire emotional well-being based off of something that you can't control and you get mad at the outcome of that, then quite frankly you are setting yourself up for failure. And so many people do this, and there's many examples that I could truly give you where somebody's getting pissed off over something they cannot control instead of just accepting it for what it is and moving in accordance to what just happened or to what's going on. So for example, I'll just give you one, right? Let's just say it's hot outside, man. You can't control the temperature outside, brother. You can't control. So why the fuck would you get pissed off that it's hot outside? You can't just stay your ass inside. You see what I'm saying? Obviously, this is one small dumb example,
Yeah.
But yeah, ask the question: is this something I can control or not? And if it's something that you truly cannot control, then it should have no bearing on how you emotionally react to it.
Yeah, that's facts, man. If you can't control it, right, then what you know what you do? You control what you can control, right?
100%.
If that situation isn't ideal for you, find a better situation.
100%. I agree. I agree for damn sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate the comment, Jaden. Appreciate the comment. And we're gonna get into the last one for y'all, man. So hopefully y'all enjoy it so far. Go ahead and end it off, Anthony.
All right, this one is how can introspective thinking give you a different outlook on life, right? And this is something that me and Champ both do from day to day, right? It's something that honestly, we do passively at this point practically, which is introspective thinking, right? But it's and it can help you in most ways. It would mostly help you with answering all these questions, right? And it's introspective thinking is, you think in on yourself, what do you truly want, right? And when you can define this, right, you can answer any of these questions realistically. With enough time spent in introspective thinking, you can answer any and all of these questions, right? To some degree, right? You at least have an idea of what an answer could be to these questions.
100%. Yeah, it's a pretty good way to sum up everything that we have mentioned for sure.
Yeah.
Can it truly give you a different outlook on life if you answer some of these questions that we would deem to be life-changing questions that are introspective thinking in itself?
Yeah.
So with that being said, if you were to answer some of these questions, or maybe even come up with questions that are similar to these, or maybe even unrelating but still pertaining to life-changing introspective thinking, would it change your life? Would it change would it give you a different outlook, or would it not?
Yeah.
Simple as that. Is there anything else you want to say on that?
Yeah. If you're willing to act on it, then it will change your life. If you are willing to act on any and all of these questions, right? As a matter of fact, even only a few of these. Say you only act on about 3 of them. You only think about and find and define 3 of these questions, and you answer them, and you truly act on them. You will have a much better outlook on life.
I would 100% agree. 100% agree, man. Well, that's pretty much all we have to say for today's episode. Appreciate everyone stopping by. This was episode 195 of the Life of a Champ podcast, talking about 15 life-changing questions that we really stress every single person to go ahead and answer. Like I said, at the very least, like Anthony had mentioned, if you could just answer and become clear with a few of these, you're going to be much better off. And quite frankly, we both observe thoroughly that if you just observe the people that do exist, most of them don't have these things clearly defined, and that leads them into the life that they have, whether that is the way that they want to live or whether they don't want to live. I do believe that if you were to answer all these questions, you're going to be living closer to the life that you would like to live, for damn sure. Life-changing, I'd say. Is there anything else you want to say before you go and wrap it up, Anthony?
Yeah, just one. I'd say do this as soon as possible because time is the fire in which we all burn. We are here for a limited time, and if you take too long to wait on these, you will lose your time to enjoy any of these. So
100%, 100%. Well said, Anthony. Well said. Well, I appreciate having you on.
show.
You already know what time it is, man.
Always,
You already know
bro.
what time it is.
Always.
But yeah, just to wrap it up, man. Like I said, if there's any comments or questions that you have, feel free to leave it in the comments. Make sure you go ahead and follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and on Rumble at Life of a Champ Podcast on every single platform. Tapping with the YouTube Shorts as well as the YouTube clips where I'm going to be posting and we're going to be editing here soon. Tapping with those for sure. And other than that, yeah, tapping with the next live stream I'm gonna have on Monday as well. If there's a specific video or creator that you want me to go ahead and react to, let me know, and I'll definitely react to it. But other than that, I'll leave you guys off with the podcast motto. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man.
We outwork.
So make sure y'all work these motherfuckers because you know that we are, and because you have no other choice, man. You have no other choice, man. I'll work these motherfuckers, man. Y'all have a good night. Tap on the next podcast on Thursday, and yeah.